It's a mailbag episode, but I'm the one with questions about three-pointers. Plus, Payton Pritchard's potential. We dip around the league for a little bit, and let's recast the good place with Celtics right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jayson, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. I got you covered every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts when they play, like when they play this Saturday against the Chicago Bulls. I've got a podcast for you, so make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, the audio podcast. Video, you got to watch that on the Locked On Celtics YouTube page. Get into the comment section. It's a great comment section. Lots of great Celtics fans in there. I love you all. I love seeing the threads. I love seeing the discussions. So keep that up in this Locked On Celtics comment section. It's a great place for Celtics fans to congregate and talk. Today we can talk about mailbag questions, and the mailbag is brought to you by the College Football Playoff. Yeah, that's here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. The College Football Playoff, presented by Allstate, begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max. The mailbag later on. We're going to have some fun with that Simpsons football game that Drew Peterson called. Drew Peterson did not call that game. I gave myself a little coughing fit there. Drew Carter called that game. Drew Peterson was playing for Maine. I had to pause the little coughing fit. We'll talk about that. We'll cast The Good Place, one of my favorite shows, later on. We'll talk NBA, good and bad, bunch of stuff there. But I want to get to the 3-point questions, and these are coming in here. One from Craig: change the all-star 3-point shot to a 2-pointer for 3 quarters, and then back to 3 points in the 4th quarter. I think players will shoot more 2s, and the game will be more exciting. Tanner says, I see a lot of talk about 3-pointers and how unwatchable NBA play is. I tend to disagree. Unfortunately, every team isn't able to play the Celtics way, and you can't get rid of the 3-point line. But what if you put a 3-point line? But what if you put a limit on how many a team can make? So I appreciate these questions, and I am not saying anything like Tanner. I think you and I are on a similar page here. I like watching what the Celtics do. Craig, I'm not coming at you personally here. But I do disagree. I do have a problem with the current discourse about 3-pointers. People are turning to the 3-pointer as like it's the reason why, the NBA is so unwatchable, so many 3-pointers. Okay. I'm advocating for eliminating the corner 3 because it's a shorter 3-pointer, and I don't think it has the same value. I don't think that shot in the corner should have the same weight as a shot from above the break. It's further, it's more difficult. So I think eliminating the corner 3 is a great compromise. That said, eliminating 3-pointer completely, or limiting it, or going multiple quarters without it. Let's just talk through what's going to happen, because I am going to challenge Craig here on the notion of, I think players will shoot more 2s and the game will be more exciting. And my question, as I said in the open, my question about 3-pointers is why do people think that? What do we think is going to happen if that 3-pointer goes away? Because let's talk it through. Now there's no 3-pointer. So now the spacing changes, and teams, unless you take away you got to take away the defensive rule where there's a zone allowed. You got to make it so the illegal defense is back and called. So you have to have that in conjunction with this. If you don't change the defensive rules, then The only thing that's going to happen is teams are going to pack the paint, because now every shot on the floor when the three-pointer is inactive, every shot on the floor counts the same. So the paint will get completely packed. Teams will do everything, completely sell out to prevent layups, to prevent paint touches, to prevent any of that stuff. They will completely sell out. And instead of 25-foot three-point shots, we're going to see 19-foot two-point shots. And I don't know how that's more exciting, because it's not. People think that eliminating the three-pointer is just going to eliminate long jumpers in general. The only thing that's gone away over the course of the three-pointers kind of ascent into the most important shot in basketball is the long two. Shots are still being shot at the rim. Dunks, layups, they're all still the most valuable shot, right? They're still, okay, open dunks, and the open corner three is definitely more valuable. But dunks and layups are still the most sought after shot, right? Easy at the rim, boom. You make those at a 70 to 80% clip. That's the math, right? The math there is, if you're going to hit restricted area shots at 75%, well, you're going to have to hit the three-pointer at like 60%, right? So that's going to be you're not doing that, right? So the shots at the rim are still the most valuable shots, but if you take away the three completely, especially if you don't change the rules, then those shots are going to be harder to get. And you're going to say, well, there's a lot of more passing that's going to happen to open this. We're going to see a lot of passing. Okay. The Celtics are averaging right now 26 assists per game. Let's go back to the mid 80s, Celtics heyday in modern basketball. They averaged 29 and a half, 28. So they averaged 2 or 3 more assists per game. Is that significant? Last year's Celtics team averaged 27. So the Celtics of the prime Bird years were averaging somewhere around 2 or 3 more assists per game. And they were second in the league, top 5-ish. The leaders this year, 30 and a half assists. Denver, Memphis, 30.2 assists. Atlanta, 29.6. Golden State, 29.3. So it's not like the assist numbers are out of whack, right? The passing is still there. I think there's a nostalgia thing that's happening where people remember the heyday and they don't really remember what was going on. The passing nowadays is still good. It's still good. The thing that people don't like to see is, well, good three-point shooters are still missing 65% of their shots, which is true, right? That's something that maybe is a little less enjoyable to watch, but the impact of the shots that they hit is bigger. So are you saying that you'd rather see Al Horford take a bunch of top of the key jumpers like KG used to? Was that preferable to stepping back a couple of feet and taking a three-pointer? Because to me, spreading that out and having people step into 19, 20 footers, 18 footers, whatever, like that doesn't excite me. And I honestly believe that the three-pointers are, they at least take the game and add that exciting element. The above the break three-pointers, like, let's make them special. I don't want the corner threes. I don't think that's as special as the ones. I mean, I'll take them now because the Celtics are hitting them, but still have some of the floor spacing. And yeah, maybe teams can still figure out, the spacing inside there. And things, there will be an adjustment, But if you take away all of the spacing with today's players, it would take years for the league to catch up, because now the dominant post players, there's no dominant post players. Who's gonna score inside? Who's gonna do all of that stuff? I don't like that idea. I just don't. I don't think it's gonna go the way you think it will. I think the 3-pointer, if you eliminate the 3-pointer, you're going to just move long jumpers in a few feet. I think that's going to be all you do. And maybe because they're a little closer, you make a couple more, but it's not going to materially change the point totals. It's not going to materially change the passing. I disagree that it's going to make the game more exciting. Understand that the 3-pointer right now creates so much space that there are tons of driving lanes. What more do you want than open driving lanes for Jaylen Brown to drive and dunk? You want to take away, though, because that would go away if you eliminate the 3-pointer for like 3 quarters. If you just eliminated it for 3 quarters, or eliminated it for a portion of the game, or said, oh, you've taken 33 pointers, that's all you get. Then after that, the defense just sucks in. No one can get to the rim. It's just long jumper city. You cannot do that. I do not think it's going to go how you think it will. I think the 3-pointer is a scapegoat, and I think people are misremembering how the game used to look. We'll talk a little bit more about 3-pointers when I come back, and then we'll get into Payton Pritchard and stats that Joe Mazzulla might target. It's all coming up in just a moment. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Tackle NFL action and NBA action at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, you, a new customer, can get $150 in bonus bets. All you got to do is put a $5 bet in there and have it win. So make it a good one. Make it an easy one. Make it something that the odds are astronomical, like the Celtics beating the Wizards, which was pretty easy. Maybe the Celtics beating the Bulls at home. That might be an easy one there. I'm not saying they're going to win, but pretty good chance they're going to win. And if they do, you put that $5 bet down, you get $150 in bonus bets. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place, or the NBA. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and all that, plus more, at the same place where you place your bet. So go visit FanDuel.com to join today. You're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, make sure you're using the tools that are available there to set your limits, set your budget, so you can gamble responsibly. Don't go overboard. We don't want you to go overboard. Just go have some fun placing a few bets there on FanDuel.com, and maybe you get that $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more at FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out the new Locked On Celtics newsletter, free in your inbox 5 days a week. Celtics coverage, NBA coverage, fantasy coverage, links to some of the best content out there on the web. It's all there at LockedOnDaily.com. LockedOnDaily.com. Get that new free Celtics newsletter. One more thing on the 3-pointers here. Just somebody asking, John P. asking about the 3-point versus 2-point breakdown for other people in the rotation, because I just did the podcast on Al Horford. 74% of his shots came from 3. Or coming from 3 this season. This was, that might change a little bit now, but the Celtics are taking more 3-pointers, no doubt. We all know that. This year, Jaylen, Kristaps, Xavier Tillman, Neemias Queta, and Jaden Springer are the only Celtics who are taking more 2-pointers than 3-pointers. Last year, it was Jaylen, KP, Queta, Springer, and Jayson Tatum, Drew Holiday, O'Shea Brissett, Xavier Tillman, Lamar Stevens, Delano Banton, all those guys, Luke Cornett. Oh, Luke Cornett is in there too, obviously, in the mix. So you got basically Tatum and Drew have flipped. Now Tatum's 3-point attempts have gone up by almost 9%. 42.5% of his shots were 3-pointers this year, 51.2 Uh, so it's there are a lot here. Tatum splits between threes and twos, 251 3-point attempts, 239 twos. So that's starting to level out. Pritchard way up on threes. Derek White 229 3-point attempts, just 96 2-point attempts. Drew Holiday 129 from 3, 105 from 2. So he's definitely cut back. Al Horford we've talked about. Sam Hauser obviously has only taken 25 2-point attempts. He's never gonna. That's not his job. Porzingis is going to be about even, and that's about it. Like the big numbers here are that Holiday has stepped behind the 3-point line a lot. Tatum is definitely being more aggressive with his 3-point attempts. Obviously, Tatum is up to 10.5 3-point attempts this year, which is a lot more. Like last year was 8.2. And so he's really pumping up the volume. Now his percentage is down. I think Tatum could probably dial it back just a touch. But water will find its level. And ultimately the effective field goal percentage is 54.5. It's okay. He's been higher, but not much higher. So it's right around where he's been historically. So it's okay. And his assists are up to 9. He's never averaged 9. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's rebounds. Up to 5.5. He's never averaged 5.5 assists. So he's still at career highs doing other things. It's, 3-pointers are a big part of things. I get it. I get people like focusing on it, but like I'm just repeating myself now. But I don't think it's as big a deal. I don't think it really is as big a deal as people are making it out to be. I think people are looking at this is the big thing now. And they're saying, well, ratings are down and they're not taking anything into account. People don't like seeing a bunch of 3-pointers. I'm sorry. I like the Celtics offense, the way it runs. And they generate a lot of good 3-pointers. Jayson asks, Payton Pritchard has been playing out of his mind. Do you think that he is having an insanity type of moment? Do you think that he is cut out to excel in a starting role, or would it be too much to ask of him and his skill set? I think Payton Pritchard is the discussion of a player like this is always nuanced, right? Start with this. He's good. He's a really good basketball player. He's tough. He's super skilled. He's super quick. He's great with the ball. He's a really good basketball player. All of the Celtics will tell you he's a really good basketball player. So that's number one. Is he going to be cut out to be a starter? Well, who is he starting next to? All of these guys of Payton Pritchard's ilk are a little dependent on who the other starters are around him. Is he going to be a great starter? Let's just say, for example, that Drew Holiday ends up being moved and they just slide Pritchard into that starting role. And it's Derek White, Payton Pritchard, the Jays, and Porzingis, and that's the only real change. He'll be really good at that. He'll be good at that because he's still playing around people who demand attention, and you're not going to double Pritchard. So yeah, he's going to get one-on-one matchups. If you put Payton on, I don't know, the Blazers, the Wizards, you might not see him succeed quite the same because he can get double teamed. And if he's going crazy, you might just see the other team's best defender just check him if he's doing too much. You know what I mean? It's not just about how good is he. If you're not a superstar player, there's a lot of fit that's going on. Pritchard is benefiting from an environment where all of his skills are thriving. He is thriving. Everything that he can do well is what the Celtics need him to do. And he's surrounded by great players. It's the optimal environment for growth. It's like planting something in the richest soil, giving it the perfect amount of water, the perfect amount of sunlight. It's going to grow. If you put that plant in the middle of a desert, or you forget to water it a few days and maybe it gets too much sun or no sun, like that can change the growth. And I think Pritchard's just in the perfect environment, and everything that he can do well, Joe Mazzulla is like, yes, we need that energy. Yes, we need that ball handling. Yes, we love that shooting. And it just gives him a ton of confidence to be able to do what he does. So is he cut out to be a starter? Yeah, he could probably start for this team. Might depend on who sticks around. When the Celtics are, whenever they are in a rebuild, I hate to use that R word, but rebuild is something that will be happening in maybe my time as a Locked On Celtics host. Is he going to be a good starter? Is he going to still be as good as he is? Or is he going to struggle a little bit more? It's, the attention that he gets, it depends, can impact how he grows, how well he plays, all of that stuff. All right. I got the Joe Mazzulla question here about stats to aim for, and then we're going to go around the NBA, and then we're going to have some fun. It's all coming up when I come back here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Today's show is also brought to you by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscription, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. The subscription tracker is great because it cancels services you're not using anymore. They do the canceling. Plus, with the goals feature, it's easy to automatically set money aside for your future. No more stressing about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. The new Locked On NBA game night show is 7 days a week. So check it out after the games. You want to get caught up on the league, what happened in the league, that's your go-to. And then in the middle of the afternoon, you get a second Locked On NBA, done debate style on all the biggest topics in the league. So go check that out wherever you found this podcast and on the Locked On NBA YouTube page. Ryan asks, does Joe Mazzulla make up statistics he wants the guys to aim for, like a game within the game? It seems like steals off turnovers would be one of them. More than any team that I can remember, almost every guy on the team has had an instance of hustling back to make up for the mistake they just made. It's incredible and fun to watch. No, he does not have hey, we want 10 steals today. Because I'll tell you exactly what he would say. When the team got 10 steals, they would let up, and he doesn't want them to let up. He wants them to get as many steals as possible. And if you also single out one stat, people will forget the other things that they're trying to do, and they will make mistakes defensively trying to chase a certain stat, or mistakes offensively trying to chase a certain stat. So he'll say, God, I feel like I've memorized Joe Mazzulla's mentality. I like Joe Mazzulla's mentality. I do agree with it. I can see exactly why he says this stuff. It's not about the stats. If you play the right way, if you focus on the details, like where you're supposed to be positionally, helping appropriately, reading what the other team is doing on both ends of the floor, and making the right play in the moment, making the right read, communicating well with your teammates, all of the stuff that they're trying to accomplish statistically will naturally happen. So he will not ever set this is the stat that we're doing, this is the stat we're chasing, and a bounty to whoever does it. It sounds like it would be a motivational thing, but he doesn't. I know he doesn't think so, for the reasons that I've said. Jack asks, who do you think is the most disappointing and the most impressive team so far this season? Most impressive has to be the Houston Rockets, right? I mean, they've been really good. They almost made it to the Cup final, and they are third in the West. They are a tremendous defensive team. In fact, in opponents' points per game, they are third in the West. They are fourth in the league. They're just fantastic. Impressive, super impressive. Most disappointing team in the league has to be the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't see another team, because we expected all of these other teams, Washington, Toronto, New Orleans, Utah, Portland, all these teams, New Orleans, but they got crushed with injuries. So that's kind of out of the, it's got to be the Sixers. 8-16. They've won a few games, but Embiid just broke his face. It's been a mess. And I know I am very quick to be critical of the Sixers, but man, they deserve it this year. They've screwed up. And I think Embiid is still a me first guy. So that's, I find them incredibly disappointing. John says, I've been impressed with both the Magic and the Rockets so far this season. Which team do you think has the best shot at making a run in the playoffs? Thinking ahead to their games against the Celtics, who do you think has the tougher matchup? Well, I don't think the Rockets are poised to make a deep run in the playoffs, because this is a different animal. I think the Magic are a tougher team. If they are healthy, they are tough. They've got high-end scorers. They've got tough defenders. They've got size, physicality. I think that's a tough team. And it's a team that can just pound the hell out of the Celtics. And so that's a matchup that would be interesting. I think the Celtics would win that matchup, because I think the Celtics are going to win the championship again. But the Magic are going to be very, very tough. Regular season wise, Rockets game will not be easy, because they are fast up tempo. The Celtics will have trouble keeping up with their pace and their up tempo style. A little bit of, Indiana Pacers, shades of the Pacers in there. That won't be an easy game. That will be a single digit game that will come down to crunch time. Almost guarantee it. And a little added motivation for Ime Udoka. So he might plant that seed with those guys, and they're young enough where some of that motivation is maybe a little bit helpful for them. But super impressed with the Rockets. Magic will be a tougher series. So much so that if the Celtics were able to avoid the Magic in the playoffs, I would prefer that. Let's have some fun before we go. Adam says, I need to hear your feedback on the Simpsons Monday Night Football broadcast. I'm sure you knocked the trivia out of the park, but would you ever want to see an NBA game with a cartoon overlay like that? Okay. I don't think I'm the audience, even though I'm a massive Celtics geek. Yes, I know all of the trivia, except I'm like true Simpsons purist. Anything after season 12 with, moderate exceptions is maybe season 13, 14, you're getting it's spotty after that. But before that, I'm all in. That's the golden era of The Simpsons, and I'm your guy. Do I think an NBA game with that would be fun? Depends on how it's done. Again, I think that's more for like, it's not me. It's not me. It's not why I watch sports. So I understand, like, I'm the wrong person to be commenting on this. I wasn't a fan of that broadcast necessarily. I thought the people who did it did a good job with it. Like, I thought Drew did a good job with, calling it and having fun with it, treated it appropriately. This is not a commentary on him or the people in the broadcast or the team that put the thing together. I'm sure technically it was incredibly difficult. So pulling that off, incredibly impressive. The idea to do it, not my thing. Just not my thing. I'm not saying it's not fun for certain people. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun for some of you. I'm just not me. I'm sorry. But if they did an NBA game with one of those, I would just kind of see how they did it. And it could be fun. It could be fun. Andrew says, like you, I'm a big fan of The Good Place. In my mind, it's the perfect show. Got me thinking, which Celtics are which characters? Now, he went on to list his, but I'm not going to read all those. I'm going to read my list. So, Eleanor is Joe Mazzulla. Not only because she ends up being like the leader, but Eleanor came from, she says she's a trash bag from Arizona. Well, look, as a Rhode Islander, I can say Joe Mazzulla comes from Rhode Island. We're all trash bags in Rhode Island. We all got a little something that's, a little, very Eleanor-esque to us. There's a little bit of definitely a blue collar to us, all of us in Rhode Island, especially that Blackstone Valley down south, like dipping into like past Providence, Cranston, Johnston, all that area. So I can see, and look, like Joe grew up, with a Rhode Island Italian dad. Like, of course he has an attitude. Of course, I totally get where all of this comes from. Come on. I'm Rhode Island Greek. We're pretty close. So coming from where he came from to get himself together and lead people to the promised land. Yeah. Joe's Eleanor. Michael is a former demon that tried to torture all of these people and then ends up being on their side. That's Joe. That's Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a defensive demon that tried to torture all of these Celtics, and then he joined their side, and off they went. Makes sense to me. Cheaty is Derek White, because Derek will do anything. He will go out of his way to help the Celtics. He will do anything to help the Celtics win. He does not care about himself as much as other people might. He is as selfless as they come, and he seems bound by a creed to help his teammates and do whatever it takes to win. So that is Cheaty. Tahani is Jaylen Brown. Tall, yes. Cultured, yes. Little, little on the selfish side. Had to come around to like the whole team. Very like me first, early on, and had to come around and understand how to do a bunch of things. Tahani learned how to pave a driveway and build a table and do all of these other things. And Jaylen Brown had to learn all of these other things to become who he is at the end here and be part of the team. So I think that fits. Jayson Tatum is Janet. Bit robotic, but always there when you need her. Tatum's always there when you need him. At the end, remember when the humans were on Earth and Janet got her powers? When she's got her powers, she kicks a lot of butt. Jayson Tatum, when he's got his powers, kicks a lot of butt, and is kind of always there when you can call on, when you need to call on him. Jayson Mendoza. This was a tough one. I'm going Kristaps Porzingis, not because Jayson Mendoza's whole thing was that he was stupid, and that is absolutely not why I'm picking Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis is a smart guy, a nice guy, but he's always having fun. And I think it's my reason for picking him as Jayson is Jayson was always like having a party and he just wanted to chill out with his buddies and, in his bud hole and his, bud hole, and always smiling, always laughing, always having just a good old time is just kind of in the moment. That's Kristaps Porzingis. So that's why I'm going for Kristaps with Jayson Mendoza. Then we get a little off the rails here. Sean is Danny Ainge, the demon who, is, seemed like he was working with us at one point, and now he's on the other side. And, there's like, I don't know. I kind of went there with like, he's come around a little bit to like, I don't know. That I don't think that's a little off. I'm not liking it, but when I wrote it down, it made more sense to me. Brad Stevens is the judge because very practical and, very matter of fact. Like the judge is like, sorry, we need to cancel humanity. And she was just going to hit the button and reboot the earth. When the Celtics needed to be rebooted, Brad Stevens was like, hit the button. Sorry, Marcus Smart. Bloop. Rebooted. See ya. That's Brad Stevens in a nutshell. And then you get into a couple of the demons. Vicky, dramatic. Oh, so annoying. That's Patrick Beverley. He's not even in the league anymore, but still find him annoying. So that's Vicky. And Trevor, the ultimate demon who is there to just try to screw everything up, yet somehow fails miserably. He's like the guy that everybody's like, oh my God, it's Trevor. But never really could get his act together and ends up getting flicked by the judge into the netherworld. That's Joel Embiid. So that's casting the good place with the Celtics and a couple of NBA characters. I hope, Andrew, that you like that. Tell me what you think in the comment section on the YouTube page. Thanks everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag. I should have said that in the beginning. JohnKaralis.com/mailbag for more questions. I will do these Q&As, mailbags as often as I can. So hit me with those. Celtics have practice on Tuesday and I believe on Wednesday ahead of the game Thursday. So I will be at the practices. Let's see what happens there. I got podcasts for you all week. So make sure you're subscribed, watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section. And then I would love it if you could share the podcast and tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.